On September 15, 2018, elected officials and media representatives from Rutherford County took a day trip from the MTSU campus to Sevierville, Tennessee to visit their composting facility. This trip allowed them to see how waste can be turned into usable soil by composting on a large scale. This facility allows Sevierville to cut down on the amount of waste going into their landfill and also extends the life of their landfill. Rutherford County Mayor Bill Ketron spearheaded this trip to help bring new ideas to the table to help Rutherford County cope with its ever-increasing demand for waste disposal.
I'm hoping we have the opportunity to learn a lot, and it may or may not be exactly what we need, but parts of what we learn can be used no matter what. So it's going to be a learning experience.
Well, good morning. We want to thank everybody for giving their day to ride with us up to Sevierville. I think we're going to have a fun time today. I think we'll see a great opportunity for to turn this into dirt. But the interesting part is, just because of me mentioning that we're going to bring this trip up here to look at composting, it got the attention of Republic. I got contacted by the Senior Vice President for Republic. His name is Dan Jensen. He said, well, we're doing composting right now in California. And I said, well, why didn't you ever make that offer to Rutherford County? And he said, well, you never asked. You know, so just keep on dumping and covering, dumping and covering. But when I talked to TDEC this past week, they feel like that this trip alone puts us into a very good bargaining position with Allied or Republic as we move forward, because they've known this for quite some time. Back, you know the numbers. That let's just fast forward. Let's say this landfill's got to close in 6 years. They know what it's going to cost them to bring in dirt. They estimate, Republic estimates, that if this, let's say example, this is year 6, it's going to take 2.3 million truckloads of dirt, cubic yards of dirt, 2.3 million cubic yards of dirt to come in and put the cover on top of this. That's 220,000 dump trucks. I don't believe that we have that much dirt in Rutherford County. They'll have to go outside of the county. They'll have to go to Warren County or Coffee County and buy multiple farms just to get the dirt to put the cap on. So I think it allows us, we the county commission, to sit down and negotiate with them. Do we move forward? Do we ask them to come in and build a facility? Do we propose a P3? If they don't want to do it 100% themselves and give us free tipping fees like we've had the luxury of since 1995, we've been tipping free. That's going to go away. And Mac, don't they give us another $1 million on top of that? All that money's going to go away. So we're up against a wall, but we have to make decisions, and waiting until that happens is too late. So I thank you for coming today, and when we get up here, Tom's going to get on the, Donna's already reached out to him, he's going to meet us. They have a very small facility. It's kind of like a double wide trailer where their office is, so we can't get that many people on. We've got some folks that are going to meet us. They'll get on the bus with us. Tom will get on here. We'll drive down to the facility. He'll start sharing about everything that they're doing, how the process works, and then he'll stay on here where it's air conditioned. We'll do a Q&A, and we'll open it up for everybody to ask questions. And then it'll take probably an hour, hour and a half. We'll head back into Pigeon Forge, get a bite to eat, and then head back to town. Any questions at this point?
What do they do? Do they pre-recycle here?
Yeah.
Do they pre-recycle? They pull the recycles out before they do the grinding?
No, they actually grind tin cans, milk jugs, plastic, everything goes into the grinder. They do pre-sort your cardboard, they pre-sort all of the tires, things that can't go into the grinders. They have 3 grinders that are in one building where the dump trucks, the garbage trucks will back in and unload their load. They have a big front end loader that scoops it up, puts it into a hole, and then it goes down into the grinders. The grinders are kind of slanted. It can't take wire, carpet remnants, those type things can't go through the grinders, so they try to pre-sort that before it goes in. Everything else is ground up. And the bacteria, the bugs that they put in these grinders, they have 3 of them. It starts generating, just like your grandparents used to have the compost pile out back. It starts generating heat. So it cooks at about 160 degrees and starts grinding it up, comes out into another building. It's a conveyor belt, kind of ground up, you'll see that, and then goes into another building where they windrow it and let it still continue to decompose, and then they start sifting to get all the other things that don't break down, and then you'll see the end product, which is dirt, and they sell it.
You also, electronics have to be pulled out. They're not submitted there. Similar to what we do with the electronics drop location.
They have a big transfer station where they come and physically sort carpets, things like that they cannot grind.
It's more of a public-driven initiative. They tell you what not to put in there. I know what I was going to say. There is an option that they are looking at for a client in California to do a pre-sort in advance before everything goes into the hoppers to run through the composting process. Currently now, though, they run everything except those electronics, the rubber, the things they say don't deliver here. Everything goes through, and then at the end, the things that don't compost are sorted out. But they are looking at a process where you can do that sorting on the front end. You know, things you have to look at for that then are going to be cost on the front end, employment, staff needed to do that versus just taking a bag and dumping it in a hole, or ripping it open and sorting it out and letting a machine go through. So it's an option. One of the things we also talked about, and I'm getting ahead of the game on this, but I'd rather be the one to say it than to put anybody else on the spot. One of the things I've talked to Tom about with this process is the possibility of reclaiming existing landfill land. It's already decomposing, and he said, yes, it's a possibility. Thus far, it's not been done here. The facility here runs 24/7, actually 24/6, and just handling what they have here is enough to keep them busy. So I want everybody to think that this is not just to fix the problems going forward. I think if our process, whether it be this or something added on to this, is something where we can have a solution going forward, but kind of correct some of the bad things we've done in the past.
We could mine our existing landfill.
Is there that is a possibility?
Grind and reuse.
Because again, it's a digestive process it goes through. So you just put it in the hopper, it runs through a process. As long as it's not the things that shouldn't be in there, and technically our landfill shouldn't. There's only things we accept based on its classification, technically. Now they have had some situations where somebody would drop off wire or carpet, and that gets caught. They try to catch that on the front end, but if it doesn't get caught on the front end, the digesters that you're going to see, the big tubes, ultimately catch that at the end because it'll blog it up and somebody will have to get in and clean it out. That's just the nature of the process.
Glass pulled out of anywhere during the process?
The glass actually gets processed in through the system. Tin, plastics, and aluminum come out at the end, at the last conveyor system. It sorts out. Once it goes through this digestive system and breaks it down to the lowest common denominator that it can, i.e. dirt, those things that don't break down, the tin, the water bottles and things along that line, and the aluminum go through a screen filter situation. So the dirt falls out, they stay. That then is going to get transported to another building, and there's a sorting, not a manual sorting process. It's a sorting system that will go through and divide those out. The only thing that they have found that cannot be recycled, that doesn't break down, are the plastic trash bags. So that's the one thing they said, those just don't turn back into dirt. So.
Does the glass come down to a fine enough particle that it can go into the soil?
Yes, and all the soil is breaks down to the degree that it meets all standards for the mineral content that it should have or should not have. So it's inert, comes out inert. It can be used for planting. It can be used for fill dirt, and it ultimately becomes topsoil.
Do you know from the time Sevier County decided to do this, how long did it take before they were operational?
I don't know that, Michael.
I will tell you they've been up and running 19 years here.
When they decided to pull the trigger, was it 3 years later? Did it take them 6 years to become operational?
We can get that information from Tom. The question was asked, how long from the minute they said, yes, we want to do this, did it actually become operational? So we need to know the build time and things along that line. This is, you're going to be pleasantly pleased with the simplicity of this building. We're not looking at something that is so robotically built that it's going to take 10 years and $200 million to build. This is, it's a big stomach for all the trash.
There.
Cost the investment is into this process, and is there a charge for the folks to come in?
The original, from my understanding from Tom, the original build of this was about $12 million. They have put another $12 million of capital into it. So their total investment thus far, capital cost, has been $25 million on the size of facility that they have. There are tipping fees that are charged, and I want to think it was $40 per ton. And we can get a little more elaboration on that. So it is a revenue generator, or at least to cover its operational cost. The price tag, like I said, at the time they built, if I remember correctly, he said it was about $12 million. Their total capital investment has been $25 million. Do we have access to their financials?
I don't know that. We can ask.
Tom has been very supportive in providing this information.
Yeah, he's been here since the beginning, but also Tom's been here since the beginning, and of course we're going to be running a drone today. We've got Brian and his team. They've got a 3D drone that we're going to be taking pictures and put it on our website. So when I talked to the county mayor this past week to get permission for us to run the drone, he said anything you need. So I'm sure he wouldn't mind sharing that with us because it's all public information anyway. So if we want to request that. Trey?
Of all the trash collected, what percent
93%.
93%, so 7%
They're doing about 93, I think. He'll reconfirm that number, but that's what I remember from back in June. 93% of the total waste stream, which includes Great Smoky Mountain National Park, Gatlinburg, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and Dollywood. And I think there was an article in the Tennessean not too long ago about Dollywood, and people were complaining because there weren't any recycling receptacles, and so the story was generated why they don't, because they participate in this composting facility.
And where does that 7%, what do they do with that 7%?
Well, they sell it, recycle it. The cardboard, they box it all up, and the tires, I'm sure that falls into that category, the electronics and etc.
There is a portion of that does get landfill, Trey, as I talked about the film that can't be digested. That ultimately a percentage of that is going to go into the landfill. But you're looking at a 90% plus diversion rate, either into an inert, turning it back to dust, to dirt, or you've got products that can be recyclable.
Now, do they sell the dirt?
Yes.
Landscaping companies, and they give it away to citizens, etc. They actually they got a contract with, I believe it was Mars or whoever makes Skittles and Wrigley's chewing gum. They actually had pallets sitting in one of the buildings where all their, stacks high of Skittles that were outdated, pulled from the shelf. So they repackage it, bring it up here, and put that into the compost, and it grinds it up. And that comes out of Atlanta. So,
are we looking at inviting people from outside of the county to bring waste into this system?
The format they have set up here was originally for just their county and to take care of all the municipalities and be self-sufficient here. They have expanded, and they do take some. The Wrigley's thing, I think, helps with the digestive. It's the microorganisms that come in food that break down that help with this process. Right. I do believe it is an option for the county if they wanted to pursue that. They don't have to pursue that. The first thing we have to do in Rutherford County is figure out what we're going to do with our own trash. And also, when you're looking at this facility, you're going to see that it is expandable. So we could start with something that meets our needs and get that down pat and either grow as we need it or grow if we want to grow it. But this is definitely a process that is modular, can be stacked onto. Modular is not the right word, but it can grow and grow relatively easily.
Okay, guys, this is Mr. Tom Leonard. He is has been here since day one. He's the superintendent over the Solid Waste Authority here in Sevier County, and we want to thank him for allowing us to come up, him giving his Saturday. His wife said it was okay. Had to get permission first, but he's going to give us a tour, and I'm going to turn it over to Tom.
Sevier Solid Waste was actually formed in 1988. It was because of a kind of a similar issue. The landfill prior to '88 was operated by the city of Gatlinburg. They were kind of tired of being the only ones involved, so they said, hey, the rest of you all need to get on board. So they got the county and the other cities of Sevierville and Pigeon Forge to join, and that's how Sevier Solid Waste was formed. At present, we're processing about 375 tons a day of municipal solid waste through the compost plant. I guess the best thing as far as the compost plant goes is we'll probably get off here in a minute and then we'll start our tour. We charge $40 a ton for all the material that comes in. We also charge $5.50 a yard for construction, demolition, and wood waste. So that's our tip fee. We're an enterprise fund, so we operate on what we bring in through the scale house. We don't get any additional funding from the cities or county other than what they pay to have their waste, recycled. And then of course, we receive all the waste from Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Sevier County, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. We can get the Blount County side and North Carolina side from the park. Yeah, we get all Dollywoods. We also get the wastewater treatment sludge from Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, and you'll see this as we go over to the recycling building, but we get a number of items from zero waste companies that want to have a zero waste initiative. M&M Mars is a big customer of ours, ConAgra, Colgate toothpaste, Toyota out of Honor. Gosh, there's quite a few that bring material in here. Green Mountain Coffee makes your Keurig and stuff. So we get quite a few of the companies who have a zero waste initiative that need a place in the southeast to bring their material. So we're doing that. And this what we're getting ready to go look at is the tipping floor, and that's where all the waste is backed in, the garbage trucks back in and dump, and then we process the waste through the compost plant from there. Some of the other things we do, we're in charge of all the recycling. If it has anything to do with waste or recycling, it's Severe Solid Waste's responsibility. So we have drop-off sites for people who want to recycle cardboard, aluminum, plastic bottles, etc. in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville. And then, of course, we also take in wood waste. We have a hauling operation, so we don't haul, mostly we haul bigger companies, like we haul all of Dollywood's, the Island, event centers, Splash Country, a lot of hotels, a lot of bigger venues. So anything in the compactor industry, that's kind of what we do, is kind of our niche as far as the hauling operation goes. We have 25 employees that work here. That includes the construction demolition landfill, which we're actually operating 2 right now. One of them's closing and one of them's just now open. So includes those guys at the landfill, includes that roll-off hauling operation. There are about 15 people who run this facility here or work at this plant here. And then we have a few people, well, really myself and 2 more people are office staff. So we do our tipping fees $40 a ton for the garbage, $23.50 for sludge, and then the $5.50 for the construction, demolition, and wood waste. And then of that money, we operate around $27.50 a ton is what it costs us to process everything that we do here. So it is a good waste system and recycling system, but it can also be economical as well, and that's always been the knock on these kind of systems as well. You can't do it as cheap as landfill, and I would say that's not true. You can do it as cheap as landfilling or transferring. It's definitely comparable to transferring. It's hard, when you come from your situation where you have a landfill that big, then they'd probably do it a lot cheaper, because I bet there's economies of scale there, because that's a massive landfill down there at Middle Point. So, okay. Y'all ready?
Yeah, ready.
All right.
Let's go there.
All right, everybody listen up. I'll explain what's going on in here so you don't get lost. You don't want to get lost in here. Not a place you want to spend the rest of the weekend. So this is what we call a tipping floor. It's just like a transfer station where half the garbage coming to Middle Point's going through places look just like this. So what they do is they dump the garbage here on the floor, and then instead of having tractor trailers to put the garbage in to go to a landfill, we actually have pits over here. And there are actually 5 of them. There's a couple behind this pile, but there's 1, 2, that's number 3, 4, and number 5 over there. And so the guy, he'll start loading the material, and he'll load about 8 to 10 buckets of garbage to maybe a bucket of the oversized compost and a bucket of sludge. And I think that's beer can sludge from Rome, Georgia over there. And he'll load that material in to get a good mixture of that material going into the drum. Those pits are about 6 foot deep by 6 foot wide by 10 foot long, and they just have a hydraulic ram that pushes that garbage into the front of the digesters, which we'll see on the other side. And that's pretty much all that goes on here. Like I said, he'll do that from, we're actually opening at 5:30 now, and so we'll be open till 3 o'clock. So we're open, 9 hours instead of 8. It used to be 6:30 to 3, but we got so busy this summer. We had a truck coming in every 6 minutes on Mondays, so we needed to get a few of those flowing a little quicker. So, so that's pretty much what we're doing up here. This material is oversized. It's coming from the final screen where we're screening down to 1/4 inch. So it may have some bigger pieces of glass and other things that would screen out it's got good microorganisms in it, so we'll put that back into the drums. And then, like I said, they're hauling up material, flour, etc. out here today. So we have 188,000 square feet under roof, and like I said, it's about 2.5 on the buildings, and then the biofields is probably another acre, so 3.5 acres, you know, total. We'll go back out. We're going to go around and look at the main part that everybody's interested in. All right, so this is kind of the heart and soul of the whole operation. We call them digesters or rotary drums. We have 5 of these units. The 3 big ones, number 3, 4, and 5, are 14 foot in diameter by 185 feet long, and the 2 smaller ones are 12 foot by 185 feet long. And kind of how the process works is we've got guys that come in at discharge at 4 in the morning, and they start discharging, and they'll usually start with 5, and they'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, and we're not using 1 right now. We're actually doing some upgrades on it, but they'll unload what we call the bottom. So these things are sloped. We were standing up there about that concrete line there, and that pit is going down in and going into being pushed into the front. These things are slightly sloped from tipping floor down to discharge, and so when they unload down there, they'll unload the bottom third, and that'll come out on the belt, and then what we call the middle will transfer to the bottom, the top will transfer to the middle, and then that guy's got an empty hole when he comes in here at 6:30. So if we don't get unloaded, then we've got an issue with loading when that guy gets here. So it's critical that everything goes pretty well down on that end to ensure that we got a place to put trash when that guy comes in. And so right now, I said we're doing some upgrades. We're actually upgrading 2 a little bit, and then number 1, those were the original units that were in 92, and they actually bought those used. They were used cement kilns that they retrofitted for this. So they have been operating since, one's 1958, the other one's 62. So they have been operating for a long time in another industry before they even brought them here. So we're doing about $1.5 million upgrades to those right now to get them prepared and ready. We actually just put the garbage and the sludge and some of that, what they call sorbitol, which is sugar, to make candy out of. We put that stuff in there. Once we get the activity going, you just have to feed it. It's the same microorganisms that are breaking down the organics in there that are doing it out here in nature. So all we're doing is giving those bugs what they want. It's an aerobic process, so we blow air into the back of the drum, and then you've got all that moisture from the food waste and stuff that's coming in from the restaurants. All that stuff's mixing together, and you're just breaking that material down and getting you a good mixture. And that's what they need. They need that air and that water, and just feed it. If we take one down totally, like empty it all the way out for maintenance, we'll charge it up with what like called mixed liquor from the sewer plant or something. Okay. Something that's really rich in bugs, get that activity going. Once we get it, you know, it's a continuous process. We keep feeding it. And they'll create their own energy, so we'll run in the middle. We'll be around 160, 150, 160 degrees all the time. Now we leave it in there for 3 days, so we're at 132 degrees or above 132 degrees, and that's what your criteria is for killing disease and pathogens, so you don't have that. So that's the process. Each one of these units cost, this one cost about $2.5 million. Probably looking at one in similar size nowadays, you know, 2.8 maybe, somewhere in. This one was put in 2006. We just replaced the one on the other side that had been there for 22 years. We didn't replace the underneath part, but we replaced the drum itself, and I think it was about 1.7 million. So we actually bought that one from a company in China, but the others have been made in the U.S. from different countries.
How many of these do you have?
5.
5.
Yep.
Bugs, are they reproducing up? You have to add in here.
We're constantly getting bugs from all the material that comes in. You know, we take all that wastewater biosolids too, so.
So the wastewater treatment plant, what's their capacity? What do they generate? How much do you take?
We take about 50 tons from all 3 collectively per day.
In what form do you take? That's a lot from
from those three cities with as many tourists as you've got coming in.
No, it's belt pressed, just belt pressed sludge. So it's dewatered as much as they can dewater it, but that's it.
So what's moisture? What's the moisture percentage?
Probably about 8. How long does it take the trash to conform into dirt?
How long?
Yeah, is it like
it takes about 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah, you'll see.
So how many tubes? How many of these tubes do you need to do for 600 tons?
Well, you probably need to double it, so you probably 7 or 8 tubes.
Mac, what's our waste stream? How many tons per day?
You take our compacted waste out of the centers, it's 106 tons per day on average.
Okay.
And Joey's out of the city, their trash collection is roughly 200. So we're a little over 300 tons per day of the type of stuff that we go through here.
So about the same.
Yeah, that's just what the two of us control.
Yeah.
Which is roughly 80,000 tons.
I'm doing about 375.
At the facility, they're taking everybody else's waste stream, so that waste stream will probably be 2 or 3 times that, right?
But yeah.
Okay.
I could do 300 on 3 digesters, but you're right at the max. You're right at the max at 300. Each one of these will handle about 100 ton a day. So we're right at the max there.
If you don't put sewer sludge in it, will it work?
Yeah, you can make it work. I mean, again, this all depends on what that waste stream looks like. Your convenience center trash is probably not going to be near as organic friendly as your city trash because you got more restaurants and things involved there. So yeah, you just have to look at all that mixture. But yeah, you can do it. The one they're putting in Oakland, they're not taking any sludge at all.
Oakland, California.
Yeah. And we actually did all the testing for them, so there was no sludge that went into that process at all, what they did out there. And we made some of the best looking compost I've ever seen.
Don, you shared with me that Oakland, California came to visit you, and are they the ones that are using the robotics, artificial intelligence robots?
Yeah, they're using AI. To pick on the front end. Yeah.
Gooch had a question about neighbors complaining, but when you'll show them how you filter the air, right?
Yeah.
So you get on the other side.
So you don't have a big complaining problem?
No. Now, I'm not going to say we've never had a complaint. We have, but no, we haven't had any in a long time. And that would be something they would be definitely interested in.
Very, very.
Tom, you said you take in construction waste. Yeah. All right, but you pull out your woods, your asphalt shingles, things like that?
We don't.
So it's all going in the hopper?
No. All the construction demolition waste goes straight to the C&D landfill.
Oh, it does?
We don't take it through here.
Okay. Do you not chip up any of the wood?
We do brush and wood waste, but we're not pulling any out. I've been working on that for a long time, but all this other stuff takes a lot of my time. We're going around. This is where they discharge. They open the doors, and that allows the material to fall out onto the belt. You can see that's 3 days. So it already starts to look like compost in 3 days. 3 days. So you got your organic material, and then you got your inorganics, aluminum, plastics, film. There's a Pepsi, that's a water bottle, probably. Yeah.
And this is about how many days in the hopper?
3 days.
3 days only.
3 days. That's it.
Glass.
Yeah, there'll be small particles of glass in there.
All right, so then what do you do with this?
I'm going to show you.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Can you tell us outside?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, I can tell you anywhere. I'm going to show you. There's no secrets. So this material is going up a belt into a screen, and that's where we're going to screen out this material from this material.
All right, guys, we're going to head this way.
5 minutes left. The building smells worse than the last one.
Yeah, we come from Rose County. We can take it.
All right, come on then. Well, this is it. This literally is as bad as it gets. Okay. Okay. Well, you know, one question I got about T-Deck, and we kind of talking to somebody walking up here. I will say T-Deck's been very generous to us. We've received about $4 million worth of grants over the last 4 years. Matching grants, of course, from T-Deck. So I think that, in my opinion, especially in Nashville, all over, they really like anyone who's going to do something different than just traditional landfill. So that, from that standpoint, I will say, now obviously our inspectors have to come and inspect for different things and things like that. So the material's coming up that conveyor belt. It's a 4-foot, 48-inch conveyor belt. It's going into what we call the primary trommel. We're going to screen down to a 1-inch minus, and everything that falls out. So you got compost, knives, forks, spoons, glass, anything else that'll go through that 1-inch minus is going to come out. Been in there 3 days, remember. We're going to put it in windrows. That's what's in these 2 big buildings are windrows. I need about 3 or 4 more big buildings, but we got windrows in there, and then we're going to turn those windrows, and we're going to keep processing that material down for anywhere between 28 to 35 days, depending on how it works out, but usually about 28 to 30 days. And then we're going to screen in the other screen down to a 1/4-inch minus. Okay, so that's where we're going to get those bottle caps and knives, forks, spoons, etc. out, and we're going to get that material out. Okay, so this is what we're doing in this building is to keep further those bugs. They need that oxygen, so we're going to use a turner to turn that material, and I'll show you that when we go back out. Those are ductwork to pull odorous air out, and I'll show you where it goes here in a second. But we're trying to pull the odorous air out and treat it so that it doesn't just waffle on over there to Dollywood, which is right over that ridge.
So we can send ours to Las Casas.
Yeah. No, that's the last thing you want to do is make Dolly mad. Yeah, once it's been in there, we'll go to the 1/4-inch minus sieve. Yeah.
And then do you have to windrow it again?
No.
So it
goes in a pile, and it'll stay in that pile until it gets moved. It's ready to move day 1, but it may sit there for 20 days just waiting on trucking and all that.
So you're handling this material twice then, right? I mean, after it comes out of the hopper, comes here, dries, then you take it all and you
string it.
So you're handling it twice.
Second screen. So we're doing 2 screen passes.
Ready for the market.
Yeah.
So the small flakes of metal and plastic that we kind of see in there, that when you reduce it again, that's when all that finally totally disappears.
A lot of it. I'll show you.
Yeah. So basically, this is the last step. When you get it down to a quarry, it's ready to go.
Yep, ready to go.
And after it sits there 28 to 35 days, then you release it to be used as dirt, compost.
Ready to go as compost. Yep. All right, if everybody bring it in, I'll explain the odor control system and the landfills and everything you can see around. So these 2, we have 2 biofilters. We have a 20,000 square foot biofilter and a 40,000 square foot biofilter. So we're actually putting the building under negative pressure and pulling that air out from the building and then pumping it. It's going underground and pumping up through this mulch, leaf yard waste, compost mix, and then that helps to clean the air before we release it out into the atmosphere. And that's a critical part of it. Then we also have a couple of ionization units that pump clean air into the discharge building down there. And you can see the discharge building looks new. Well, it's not. We've replaced the covers on it. We'll eventually have to replace the canvas on this. We were going to replace it on the new build, or the tipping floor building, but it looks like we're going to expand. So we're probably just going to do all that at one time next year. So, you know, some of these things you do have to work on. Back there where the green, and you see some compost back there, that's the Class 1 landfill. So they built a Class 1 landfill in 1988 here before they built the plant. So some of the material over the years has had to go in there is basically when the plant was shut down or when we were going through a big expansion or something like that. That's the only time that gets used. It doesn't get used on a daily basis. That is the construction and demolition landfill. That's for any kind of furniture, houses get tore down, motels get tore down, which get tore down about every day. And then also the plastics and residuals from the compost plant. So this stuff right here is that stuff you see right there. So all the inerts go to the construction demolition landfill. It's pretty important because C&D landfills are a lot less expensive to operate than a Class 1 landfill. So we've got that material going in there. That one's about closed, and that's why I got so much open space right now. We're getting ready to cap it off, and then we've just opened a new one down the road. And we got about 15-year life on it, and then we have another expansion, be another 15 years. But that's pretty much what we got going on here. Well, that's a good question. These have a 25-year life guarantee. These did not, and it wouldn't have mattered because the company who built them went bankrupt because they built the Dallas Cowboys training facility, and the thing fell down. There's huge lawsuits, and so the good news is you wouldn't go with that company because it don't exist anymore anyway. And there's actually some better, I'll show you a much better building, but the reason we have that is because we used to have metal buildings like the one up that when we came in, and there's so much moisture, it just corrodes everything. There's nothing free in this world, people. No, if you come to us, you gotta pay. Now the county has drop-off convenience centers and sites that people can drop off stuff, pretty much anything. But if you come to us, if you choose to bypass that, we're gonna charge you. That's left up to the people who take care of the collection. It's not gonna be us. We're gonna charge.
Latex paint and that type of stuff.
Do what?
Latex paint and etc. Does that all go in there?
We actually don't take the latex paint. We're not supposed to take liquid, but we actually do have like days where we take latex paint, and then how we end up dealing with it is we dry it up with compost. So, and then we're able to dispose of it. Keeler. When we take we'll take bulk like paint days for citizens, and we'll dry it up with compost pour. So we can actually use the compost for that purpose. But
so is the convenience centers operated by the Waste Authority?
No, they're operated by the county. So the county operates. So when I say we're owned by the 3 cities in the county, it's an equal 25% share. So my 4 board members are 3 city managers of the cities and the county mayor. That's who I answer to. And they each operate their own garbage department. So county has convenience centers, the other cities have collection, and they do brush and demo furniture and all that stuff, and garbage and all. But there are private companies that operate here too. Waste Management operates here, Waste Connections, Waste Industries, etc. So
the county and the 3 cities get charged coming in too.
Yeah, but they get a discounted rate because they own us. And they make us do that. I'm not bitter at all. Just kidding.
Does the county and all have separate contracts with tourists for hotels, motels, and that kind of thing? Or
yes.
Is that, okay.
That's a good question. No, it's a good question. She's asking about private versus public haulers. They operate front loader systems in Pigeon Forge, Sevierville. They operate collection systems in Gatlinburg. Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, and that's part of our flow control. The ordinances say we're gonna have to take it all. So they don't really allow any private companies in Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge. Sevierville, it's about half and half. Sevierville picks up about half the businesses, private companies pick up the other half. County, all the private businesses in the county are picked up by private haulers, and then all the county does is convenience centers. So yeah, I wish it was all publicly held, because the #1 problem that we have is stuff being put into dumpsters that shouldn't have been, like C&D, like carpet and stuff like that. Who's the biggest offenders? The private haulers. Yeah. Why? Because they own a landfill somewhere, and so I wish it was all publicly held, but those are things you deal with on the front end. So
do y'all keep up with the private haulers in the county?
Oh yeah.
They register or whatever?
The county doesn't, but the city of Sevierville does, and since it's the same ones, we know who they are, where they pick up, and all that stuff. And then, don't get me wrong, I mean, we get along really good with all of the private haulers. Also, it's just their salesmen don't have the incentive not to tear something up here like the owners do. You know, it's a lot easier for me to go to the owners and go, hey, you're tearing up digester every time you throw all this junk in the dumpster that shouldn't have went in there. And, you know, they're going to do something about it. Private haulers, hey.
Tom, you're a smart guy. Is there a better solution than putting our construction debris in a landfill?
I'll recycle it. I mean, pull out wood waste, concrete, grind, you know, do some stuff. And trust me, I've been working on that for a while too. We actually bought machines, or some machines to do it. We just hadn't done it as much as we've not got it done.
You don't have the buy-in yet?
No, we could separate it here and pull it out. We had intended on pulling out clean wood waste and actually about had it ready to go. And then there was this big fire and we got more wood waste than we know what to do with. So we're like, we got to grind all that wood waste.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
We'll go over here. It's much sweeter smelling and it's quieter and all that. Okay, couple of questions I've already got on the walk over here I wanted to answer. Someone asked about the fires and how that affected us. It was obviously devastating for Gatlinburg. We were about full on this landfill. We hadn't got that new one built, so we actually asked the state to put it in a temporary site where we're getting ready to build the new landfill. I had about a week to get ready, and it was kind of a mess. We were using, it was actually just a driveway up the middle of a holler, and then all of a sudden they were like, hey, can we get in there? And I said, well, if you get me some rock, I think we can, you know, make this work temporarily till we get something built. And so what happens, in case you didn't know, it didn't rain for like 8 months. Then we had the fire, and then it rained every day for 8 months after that. So here I got trucks lined up. I mean, literally, you wouldn't even got that bus on this road. There were so many trucks lined up. So now here they are, and they're going through this road, and I mean, and the state's on me, you need to put rock down. I'm like, the only thing keeping these trucks going are the rock trucks. I mean, we're putting rock down all the time. It's sinking to nowhere. And so we finally got a road built, but it was quite a bit of material, and that's part of the reason for like not doing more at the construction demolition, because when that happened, it consumed all of our time. But you know, we take in about 50,000 tons a year in construction and demolition, and we took 65,000 tons in fire debris alone. So it was a lot, and it's not done. There's still stuff that haven't been cleaned up. So, oh, somebody asked me the other question. Oh, they were asking about tipping fee on this material. So this is what we call sorbitol. This is what they make, obviously they make lifesavers out of it. So, and then sugar, I don't even know what's in that one over there, but, oh, gummy bears, yeah. Not even expired. Oh, I know. Trust me, I know. I mean, all these bags you see, I told you it'd smell better in here. All these bags you see, that's all chewing gum. We get all kinds of stuff, birthday cake, combos. They called me last week wanting to bring a bunch of candy bars. What else was it? I mean, I get a call every week, and we have about 4 brokers we work with, plus the waste haulers. We'll call. We're actually starting to take material out of Kentucky from a big grocery chain up there, and it's all about zero waste initiatives that these companies have. So they get charged a gate rate. It's 100% compostable, and it keeps our fee low, which keeps your taxes low, or taxes here in Sevier County. So that's one of the reasons we kind of look into that, try to work with that. We also bale up cardboard, about 5,000 tons a year. Obviously, that would break down in the plant, but we're kind of at the max over there anyway. So the more we can recycle, we're going to do that. We also grind all the brush. We use it for the biofilters, and we use it for mulch on the. We sometimes build roads in the landfill with it, etc. And then we have drop-off centers around the county for other recyclables and stuff. So we used to call this the recycling building. Now we have a new one over there. We call it the recycling building, but this is kind of cardboard baling, and it's become an intake center for all this material. But this has really come about in the last 3 years. I think we started taking ConAgra maybe 4 years ago. ConAgra brings us ketchup, tomato paste, etc. But some of it comes in bulk, and then some of it we have to depackage. So this material definitely has to be, you know, charged at that higher rate or the gate rate, because we have to handle it so much. So we do have some. We actually have an employee dedicated to handling this material right here. So, but it's good.
Let me give y'all an example of what he's talking about. The Gatlinburg fires, the Good Friday tornado in '09. Mm-hmm. The Thursday, of course, we closed on Friday. The Thursday before Good Friday, we took in 37 trucks at our landfill. The Monday following Good Friday, we took in 750 trucks. Mm-hmm. We had 3 dump faces going, one for brush, one that's grindable brush, one for burnable stuff because we can still burn, and then another one going into the C&D landfill.
Yeah, they come from everywhere too, don't they? Oh, they're great.
We used up 10 years of life in the Rutherford County landfill in 92 days.
Man. Well, it wasn't, actually that's a lot worse than what we had, but yeah, you start getting all kinds of new customers. And it's a leery feeling, because a lot of them, if they don't come with cash in hand, you will never see that money, because once they're done, they're gone. So, you know, we had to actually redo the scale system to set up to take them in such a way that we could move the traffic, because we'd always taken these mom and pop cash sales, so you go dump your stuff, come back and way back out, no big deal. Well, now we got hundreds and hundreds of trucks lined up, so we had to fix it to where they didn't have to come back. But we really tried to, I still got it. It's one guy, he still owes me money. So.
Our scale house was busy enough, and Todd Vazier was our scale operator at the time. He's front loader driver now. But he was literally weighing in and out 4 trucks a minute. Middle Point came over just to see how in the world we were getting through that quick. And it was because we were not computerized. We did it all by hand.
Well, we'll walk over to the new recycling building and I'll show you that, because I know y'all are getting hot and tired. So that's about the last thing. And then when we go back to the bus, I'll show you the finished product and what it looks like. So this is the new recycling facility, and so what we're doing, that material that has been going to the landfill, all your film, the inorganics that comes off that screen that we just left, the one in the back there, the 1 inch minus, we're bringing that material over here, and then we're processing out all the aluminum, tin, and plastic bottles. And so the way it works is we load material in there, it goes in, the green thing there is a screen to knock off any fines or extra compost on there. And then it goes into what we call the knee-hot air classifier. And it actually uses air to blow the plastic film away from the heavies or your bottles, cans, etc. And that was the key component. That's why it's taken me 18 years to do this process, or 17, because that piece right there didn't exist 17 years ago. And where all these material recovery facilities, they can handle plastic bottles and cans and tin cans, they can't handle film plastic. It's like a big no-no. That's why they don't want you to put your recyclables in bags. So that machine down there will take all those plastics out. Those plastics right now are still going to the landfill. Those are, what we're trying to do with those is maybe find a resource where we could use them for fuel. Like we've worked with a cement company that actually grinds them, blows them in, uses them in place of coal. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but that's the route we're looking at. Then all the heavies come out down on the little blue conveyor there, and then that's an overhead magnet there that kicks tin out there, and then your eddy current gets the rest on the end, the green thing on the end, that gets all your aluminum out, and then there's a slide chute that kicks everything else back into a bunker. That material is plastics and corn cobs and just whatever else comes through the system, and it'll actually go down to our broker, which has a MRF in Knoxville, and they'll rerun that, and they'll get all the good material they want out that they can recycle, and then the rest they'll send back to us if it's trash or whatever. But that's how this facility works. I was talking about the Oakland project. The same people who sold this equipment to me are providing the equipment at the Oakland project. So what they're doing is they actually have a big pit in the floor, but it does the same thing as this metering bin. And they put all that material, or they will when it's open, they'll put all that material in there and it'll go up a belt, and then they have 5 of those knee-hot classifiers up there that will take plastic bags open. So they shred them, take the plastic bags away, and then they have a sort line where they're using artificial intelligent robots to actually pick out items off that belt. And then they'll use eddy currents and et cetera. And it is a massive, big building. So what they're doing is they're gonna try to take all the good stuff out first, so it's not dirty or, you know, but there's 2 reasons they want to do it. They get better recyclables because it's not got compost stuffed in it like ours does. You'll see here in a minute. And then the other reason is they can put a lot more material in the drum. So everything that's left over from their recycling system, they'll put it into the digester. So they're putting in 2 14-foot by 185-foot units, and where we're doing like, you know, 100 ton a day, they'll be putting in like 300 ton a day because it won't have all the plastics, et cetera, in it. So it's kind of just flip-flopped of what I'm doing. We'll see which way to go. You know, in their case, it's kind of hard. I'd have to really look at the numbers, but they're so much bigger and they got a lot more material they're going to be processing. It's hard to, you know, really compare apples to apples, but they're going to have a lot more equipment like this on the front end. So that's going to cost a lot more on the front end, but then they have less drums on the back end. So maybe that kind of equals out. We'll see which, you know, it looks like things have changed. A few years ago, I would have said, oh man, that's a maintenance nightmare. But what they were telling me is, and it's just kind of by chance, because we have this facility and they want to use that kind of stuff in their facility. I get to work with the head engineer of this company, so we talk a lot. He was telling me that what's going to happen out there, because the AI, the artificial intelligence, has growing so fast and it's getting so good that they're actually going to use artificial intelligence to monitor the system. So what they'll do is when they dump it in their hopper or their pit in the floor, there will be something there that's looking at it, and it will tell every piece of equipment within that plant, hey, today we got more fiberboard, we got more cardboard, or we got more newsprint, or we got more of this. And then all this equipment will adjust to meet that. So I mean, it's exciting. I mean, this stuff's really exciting. So because being able to do that, it will be able to maintain. Just think if you didn't have to worry about when you change the oil. And, you know, we all know we're supposed to change it every 3,000 hours, but who knows? Maybe it goes 20,000 hours. I mean, 20,000 miles. I don't know. Who knows? That's just what they tell us. This will monitor it to a T and say, this bearing has to be changed because it's at this heated temperature or whatever. So
that's like
it's
for
crazy.
A new facility, maybe like at Oakland's, since all this has become a science, is it much more efficient and better if it's just one massive, long facility to keep it going, or is it better to separate it like you're doing in different buildings?
Oh no, I would think you would want to put it in one building. The reason we separated it is nothing here is my idea, okay? This was all, my board found a company that did the compost plant. When they put the compost plant in, they had a magnet and an eddy current just like that, and it was right there at the end of the screen. It was totally different back then, but anyway, it was right there at the end of the screen. The problem with it is when that thing, I wasn't here on day one. I came in 99, it was built in 92. Well, the problem was when that thing malfunctioned, it would shut down the entire plant. Well, if you shut down the entire plant, then garbage has to go to the landfill. I'm like, we're not operating this. So I wanted to do this since I saw it. We wanted it in a separate building so it's a standalone facility. The way Oakland's doing it, they really do need it all in one facility, in one building. And we'll see, you know, how all that works out. But the devil's in the details. But it is exciting. And if what he says is true, what these things, it's so funny because they use this AI to do robotic pickers because picking is hard. I mean, you got to get up there and you got to be fast and pick and all that, and there's possible injuries, work comp. If y'all seen any of the MRFs, you know. Well, So what they did, they took the best picker in California. She's a little Hispanic woman from down in Los Angeles, and they put her on a line, and they put their robot on the other line. And the first day, she just blew it away. I mean, just blew it away. He said it wasn't even close. By the end of the week, that machine had learned so much that it was now picking faster than she could pick. So the fastest picker. And the beauty of that is, you think about this, we can download that information and bring it right there to Murfreesboro. It's not like us. There's no forgetting. It's all going to be somewhere stored data-wise. So I'm pretty excited. Anyway, this is in the garbage business. As you can tell, I get really excited about garbage. But if you want, we'll kind of walk down and I'll show you the bunkers. And then outside, we're doing our cleaning system, and we're having to drill some wells and stuff for that. But, it'll take care of itself. The hope is that we can continue to keep the same $40 per ton tipping fee for the next 20 years like we just did the last 20 years. We use full cost accounting, so we cover everything. And the cities and county pay $30 a ton. Everybody else pays 40.
One question, we all know we're on a time limit for having to have a solution to this. What was the build time on the bulk of this facility, the initial facility? You had the facility in '88, or you formed the alliance in November of '88?
Yeah, it was from 90 to 92, so about 2 years. Yeah, but you got to consider that equipment too. Got to get that equipment on order. It's probably about a 2-year delivery if you're buying drums and things like that, and even all this stuff. But yeah, we got that. Yeah.
Smellier than what we got off. If we double in size to 600,000, that's double the trash stream that we've got. So it's going to need everybody's efforts, everybody's thinking, and having an opportunity to work together. We'll make this a good thing. We'll make it good. Chairman?
Let me ask you the hard question, or something. Let me ask you the hard question, one that we all need to be thinking about in which direction we need to go. Our consultant suggested that we initiate a advisory board. There was some dissension amongst the last full commission, county commission, that do we really need one? Why couldn't the commission do that themselves? We have to have total buy-in of the county and all the municipalities. That's the first thing that has to happen.
You're exactly right.
And without that, this goes nowhere. I think personally we have to put a solid waste advisory board together. So I'm curious about what your opinion is if that should happen, and if so, to me that needs to be one of the first things that we have to assemble to help get the rest of the municipality buy-in, so we can proceed on how we gather money and the total picture put together to move forward.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to that be one of your first agenda items in your committee. You give me the direction, you tell me which way to negotiate, and I'll start that process. I'll reach out to the municipalities. If that's the direction we go, I'll start trying to bring them together. But we're all in this together. And you give me the direction, that's what I'll give you my opinion. But it's my personal opinion. I'm here to represent the commission. So that's the direction I want to go. I think that would help us by having everybody together with total buy-in. It's not going to work, like you say, unless we have that. But we'll make it work.
Do you have an opinion, or do you want to save that for a later discussion?
Yeah, I'd prefer to save that for a later time. Okay, any other questions? Whose hand is that back there? Oh, that's just Frank talking. Okay. No, that's not even Frank, is it? Okay. Any other questions? All right. I thank you all for coming today.
After several hours of touring the facilities in Sevierville, many on the tour had a better understanding of how a composting facility operates and how it helps the community get rid of waste and return it to the environment. The hope is to take this information back to Rutherford County to weigh the cost and benefits that a facility like this could make here for the future of Rutherford County.